Then there's psychological line. The textbook will call this psychic line. I use the word psychological. They are interchangeable. Psychological is an understood connection between two or more elements. The connecting element does not need to be in the picture plane. If we're looking at the Rafael drawing, which is all line, he is psychologically connecting with something outside of the picture plane. Everybody else is psychologically connecting with him. Everybody's looking at him, so he becomes the focal point because he's the focus of everybody within the design, and that causes you, the viewer, to look on the scene and also focus on him. So lots of psychological line. This guy might be looking at you, or he might be looking at him. If we look at the Picasso, we have a couple standing, could be brother-sister, could be husband-wife, boyfriend-girlfriend, but they're standing near enough each other that the acquaintance is a little more than casual, and it looks like they've been in casual conversation. They seem to be outdoors. He's got his hat on, so we have, by virtue of details which are drawn with inscribed line, there's a story being told here. But look at his gaze. He is gazing over her head out of the picture plane to somebody or something over there. Something's caught his attention. At the same time, she's not looking in that direction. She's looking at you, the viewer, and probably saying, what do you want? What are you looking at? So there's a psychological connection that she's making with you, the viewer, and that will draw you in. So you are no longer just an observer. You are engaging with the person in the pictorial space. So psychological line is very useful. A direct gaze is very compelling to the viewer. Notice also in both of these the use of inscribed line, the actual line, and they're drawn, of course, very differently in very different styles. Raphael was Renaissance and Picasso was 20th century painter. So there's a few centuries between them, but they're both using line. They're both using color in terms of black and white, and they're both using implied line and psychological line. Let's look at the implied line in the Raphael piece. See his hand to elbow to shoulder and the muscle picking up here, and there's a movement in the hair and the muscle here, and then to this elbow and to this forearm and across the top of his garment. That is an implied line. That's a connection. All of those forms are lined up along a common boundary. There's a sense of implied line here in the architecture. The architectural detailing here goes, behind the column and picks up, so we understand the continuation of things. And there's a common horizontal direction of that. But notice the implied line here goes across the scroll work on the architectural piece, and then also aligns with the bottom of the door jamb. Notice the back of the thigh here, take it straight up, runs over the finger, the neck, and straight up the column. Notice also this, from here to here to here to here. That's an implied line. All the guys' heads, except for this guy, are lining up. Actually, this guy kind of sticks above it as well too. But everybody here kind of lines up with this architectural element. This direction is reiterated by this direction, and this direction, and this direction, and this direction. There's an implied line here. So all throughout this, there are implied lines. So we have inscribed line, psychological line, and implied line. Same thing here, implied line. You can make a nice S-curve here. Notice how the hand works into the belt and comes up into the other hand here. Notice how her forearm and hand line up with his forearm. So implied lines help us make connections between elements, help organize space, help line things up and bring order to a space, and structurally it will lend toward rhythm.